My friends, there is a restless force that burns within every human being, a power both creative and destructive, a fire that can illuminate the path of life or consume it entirely. This force is desire. In its rawest and most primitive form, we know it as lust. Lust is not merely sexual. It is the compulsion to possess, to devour, to be filled endlessly by something external. It is hunger without rest, thirst without quenching, longing without peace. And yet, to condemn lust as evil would be to misunderstand its role in our psyche. For even lust carries within it the seed of transformation, if only we learn to look beyond its surface. To go beyond lust means not to repress it, not to deny its existence, but to see through it, to pierce the veil and recognize what lies underneath. For lust, at its root, is not about the body. It is about the soul. The body becomes the symbol, the projection screen, but the deeper yearning is spiritual, the desire to merge, to return to wholeness, to dissolve into something greater than oneself. When we remain unconscious, we confuse this call for transcendence with the body of another. But when consciousness awakens, we realize that the object of our lust is merely a mirror, reflecting to us the parts of ourselves we have not yet integrated. This is the first keynote. Lust is a mask for a deeper longing. It is not the beloved that we crave, but the forgotten fragments of our own soul. The woman or man who captivates us, who stirs our deepest passions, who makes our heart race and our mind obsess, they are. But the vessel carrying an image of our anima or animus, the hidden other within. The more we deny our inner wholeness, the more desperately we project it onto others. And thus, lust binds us, enslaves us, because we are blind to its true message. But if we have the courage to confront the image, to withdraw the projection, to embrace the unloved parts of ourselves, we discover that the object loses its spell. The fire cools not because love has vanished, but because love has been internalized. The lustful craving is transformed into inner unity. The second keynote is this: to go beyond lust, one must face the shadow. Lust is not simply about attraction. It is also about possession, control, domination, even violence. Within lust hides the shadow, the part of us that wishes to consume without responsibility, that wants the pleasure without the cost, that seeks gratification without sacrifice. We deny this shadow because it frightens us. We want to believe we are noble in our desires. Yet the more we repress the shadow, the more it takes possession of us, twisting love into addiction, attraction into obsession, intimacy into conquest. To rise beyond lust, we must dare to see this shadow clearly. We must admit to ourselves, yes, there is a part of me that craves without care, that would devour the other without thought of their humanity. Only by naming this shadow can we prevent it from ruling our lives. The man who denies his shadow becomes a slave to lust. The man who accepts his shadow learns to guide its energy into creation instead of destruction. When we begin this work, something extraordinary happens. The energy that once fueled lust begins to transform. Jung called this process sublimation, the redirection of instinctual energy into higher forms of expression. Sexual energy, when transmuted, becomes the fuel of art, of philosophy, of spirituality. The mystic, the poet, the visionary, each has learned to channel the fire of lust into the fire of creation. The same force that burns in the loins can burn in the mind, in the heart, in the spirit. To sublimate is not to repress. It is to recognize that the instinct is a raw material, a prima materia, that must be refined like alchemy, lifted from its base form into gold. The lust that once enslaved becomes the power that liberates. This leads us to the third keynote. Real freedom lies in transmutation, not indulgence. The modern world tells you to indulge every desire, to treat lust as liberation. But indulgence is not freedom, it is dependency. You remain chained to the object, always needing more, never satisfied. Like a man drinking seawater, the thirst only grows. True freedom comes when you can hold the fire of desire in your hands and direct it where you will, into art, into service, into vision, into deep intimacy that transcends mere possession. This is why celibacy, in some traditions, was not about rejecting life but about transforming energy. The saint and the artist draw from the same well as the lover. The difference is where the water flows. To move beyond lust is to claim sovereignty over this force, to no longer be tossed about by instinct, but to ride its current toward meaning. And yet, to speak of going beyond lust is not to say we should despise the body. This would be a grave mistake. Many spiritual seekers fall into the trap of hating the flesh, treating sexuality as filth, treating desire as sin. But the body is not the enemy. The body is the temple, the vessel of incarnation, the theater in which the soul enacts its drama. To reject the body is to reject life itself. We must not kill lust, but transform it. We must not silence the flesh, but listen to its deeper voice. Every instinct carries wisdom. Every desire points to a need. Lust, when purified, reveals to us the sacredness of union. The joining of two bodies is not merely physical. It is a symbol of the greater union between opposites, the marriage of heaven and earth, spirit and matter, conscious and unconscious. If you look deeply enough, even the act of love becomes a ritual, a glimpse of the divine. But this only happens when lust is no longer blind, when we are conscious in our passion, when we see the other not as an object to be consumed, but as a soul to be honored. Here, then, is the fourth keynote. Love is the transformation of lust. Love sees where lust is blind. Love gives where lust only takes. Love honors where lust consumes. To move beyond lust is not to eliminate desire, but to let desire grow wings. Lust says, I want you for myself. Love says, I want you to be fully yourself. Lust clings, love liberates, lust fears loss. Love rejoices in freedom, and yet love is not the opposite of lust. Love is its maturation. Just as the seed must die to become the flower, lust must die to become love. Without lust, there is no spark. Without love, the spark destroys. The task of the human being is to guide lust toward love, to lift the lower into the higher, to see in the beloved not merely flesh, but spirit. The fifth keynote is perhaps the most profound. Beyond lust lies wholeness. Old desire, at its root, is the call of the self, the greater totality of who we are, beckoning us to integration. We long for union with others because we have not yet united with ourselves. We hunger for completion in another because we have not yet embraced the opposites within our own soul. To go beyond lust is to begin the journey of individuation, the path toward becoming whole. This is not a denial of relationship, but its fulfillment. When you no longer need the other to complete you, you are finally free to love them fully. When you no longer use the other as a projection screen, you can finally see them as they are. In wholeness, lust becomes transparent. You recognize the fire within yourself, and you meet the fire in the other not as chains, but as light. And so, my friends, the task before you is not to flee from lust, nor to drown in it, but to transform it. See in every desire the call of your soul. Recognize in every longing the whisper of the self. Do not be deceived by appearances. The body is a symbol. The attraction is a mirror. The passion is a message. Go deeper. Ask, what is this fire really asking of me? What part of myself is calling to be known? What shadow have I refused to face? What creative power am I hiding within? What love am I afraid to give? If you have the courage to ask these questions, lust will no longer enslave you. Instead, it will become your teacher, your guide, your fuel. You will walk beyond lust into love, beyond craving into freedom, beyond longing into wholeness. And in this wholeness, you will discover a peace the world cannot give, a joy that no possession can equal, a union that no separation can break. Remember, you are not merely a creature of appetite. You are a soul on a journey of becoming. Do not waste your fire on ashes. Let it become light. Go beyond lust. Step into the fullness of love. Step into the wholeness of yourself. Step into the eternal union of spirit and matter, where every desire finds its true home, not in possession, not in indulgence, but in transformation. For there, and only there, lies freedom.